record at the same time there because I'm working on my editing skills, but that just makes it easier for me. So if you
Right
see me
on.
looking over here, I'm just adjusting the volume so that one of us isn't talking too much louder than the other. Great. We'll have a wonderful awkward pause for a couple seconds, and then we'll get started.
Cool.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Alexander, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll start out where everybody else does. As far as earliest memories to about middle school, what were you into as a child?
Outdoor anything. Yeah, man, sitting down in a desk for prolonged bouts of time, numerous sections, numerous, also known as classes throughout the day, 5 days a week, 8 months a year. That was rough, dude. And so when I was allowed to stand and leave buildings, I just did BB guns and slingshots, and me and my buddies back in the woods. We had some old coal mines. So I'm from Richmond, Virginia,
Okay.
and born on the north side, lived over there for 8 years, then moved over to the south side. And where I lived near the south side, not only did we have this big lake, but we had these old abandoned mine shafts, these coal mines back in the woods. And there was all these BMX trails back there, and we spent a lot of time tripping around the woods and having a blast, man.
Absolutely. So was this something that your parents were more or less say, hey, go home and come back by dinner, or what were the rules kind of set by the family?
I think that I was on the very last car of that train of get your ass out the house, come back for dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. We had, we'd go on our bicycles, we would disappear for the entire day, come back, walk out the door, 4 or 5, 12, 13-year-old boys with BB guns just walking down the street. That would so not happen now.
No,
Cops,
not a chance.
You'd have black helicopters, SWAT members repelling helicopters, and tanks. There'd be tanks in the street. Yeah.
For sure. So did you play any organized sports as a child, or what did your athletic career look like as far as outside the jungle?
Right on. I really liked soccer. I played soccer. And I swam.
Okay.
And my dad was a very good athlete. He got scholarships for college football.
Okay.
So I grew up watching football games and going to his alumni football games, and I did my best on the football field, but I just wasn't built for it, man. I'm a medium-sized guy and a mediocre athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, my science teacher, my 9th grade science teacher, Dick Overton.
All right.
I liked him. I really liked him. He was cool. Really didn't care much for science, but I liked him. So when he said, you should come out for the wrestling team, I was like, sure. And wrestling was different, very different from football in the sense that I could get paired up with people my size, and I didn't have all that gear on me, dude. That's another thing. I didn't like suiting up like that.
Yeah.
I'm a minimalist by nature. And so, wrestling was different. It was me against another person. Okay. And, you get leverage, you practice your technique, you can make up for a lack of athletic ability. And it was cool. I semi stuck with it, considering my mind frame, my mindset at the time. It was good. So that's what I did in high school.
So as far as practice goes, from middle school to high school, what was the difference in kind of mentality and coaching styles that you saw?
The difference in mentality in me.
Well,
my mentality.
So like, what did you see from? So did you start in 8th, 9th grade, or what did you start going into high school?
Gotcha. I started my freshman year of high school.
Okay. Okay.
So ninth grade.
So going in as a freshman, what was your mentality as far as wrestling go? Was it, hey, just my teacher told me to show up, or what were you looking for out of wrestling?
That it was mainly that and something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got to give Zach Reed some credit too. So Zach was my next door neighbor, and we would he was a wrestler, and we would wrestle, and sometimes I'd get the better of him, you know, and it also suited my personality. I got a mean streak, dude. I really do. It's been here there the whole time I've been conscious.
Yeah.
My dad's got one too. It's very likely inherited. So that helped. And I think most people in high school can relate to, especially you walk in the door as a freshman, you're just trying to figure stuff out, man. Who am I? What am I doing here? Who are all these people? It's historically speaking, and I mean as in the history of man, it's a very weird scenario. Public high school. I mean, we could put elementary and middle school, and let's just go with public high school. Think about it. You're in a room. When was someone ever in a room with 20 other kids their same age and one adult? We've not been engineered to learn that way. Okay, it's very antithetical to the history of humanity, and so it brings it. Most people would say high school is kind of creates a little bit of anxiety. Some people it's just terrifying. For me, it was terrifying. So I created a persona, and the wrestling helped.
So when you said anger streak, was that, how would that transfer into wrestling, and kind of where did that come from growing up? How did you know that? Where did it show itself?
Well, it first showed itself in backyard football. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world to smush somebody, like hurt them, like hurt them. And yeah, it's just some very, and I've gotten better with it over the years. And, I like to think the work that I'm involved in helps balance some of that karma out. But there's a part of me that's warm and caring, and I admit it, there's a part of me that's extremely cold. I can get very cold very fast.
And then did you feel during wrestling that was something that the other person was also prepared for it, so you kind of felt relief afterwards, or it kind of just kept building on itself?
It's a good gear to have in wrestling. Okay. Or let me say this, you're going to run across some other people like that eventually.
Okay.
That are very okay cross-facing you and making you hurt.
So for those that don't know, crossface, would that be similar to someone attempting to not necessarily choke you, but instead of your neck, they're just cranking on your neck? Would that be a crossface?
It's pretty close. A crossface is when you take the blade of your forearm and smush it up under somebody's nose and crank their head in a direction. There's a saying in wrestling, wherever the head goes, the body follows. So yeah, you control somebody's head, you control.
So very, very uncomfortable.
Oh, it's horrible. It's terrible. Horrible and terrible at the same time.
So what was practice like? Because wrestling, I believe at that time, everything was about cutting weight. Is that something that you experienced in high school as well, or was your school just more comfortable with you getting whatever weight you were at?
It was 103, 10. Shit, it's been a long time. Do I even remember the weight classes? 105. I was 112. Yeah, I was 112 my freshman year.
How tall were you?
In 125, 5'8",
okay,
5'9", something like that. Maybe a little bit shorter, but and I took it just serious enough to get to be okay at it.
Okay.
You know, once I realized what person I wanted to be in school, what person I was desperate to be in school, which is the cool guy, you know, binge drinking on the weekends and smoking cigarettes after practice. I was that guy that was the underachiever.
Okay.
Yeah, that went out and smoked cigarettes after practice, wrestling practice, and the coach was always on me to he's like, I see a lot of talent in you, man, but you gotta put in more effort. I'm like, I know. I just wanted to. It didn't fit the role. I was way more concerned with being popular than being a really good wrestler.
Yeah. And how did the popular thing turn out in high school? Were you invited to all the parties? Did you get the women we were looking for?
All the above.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like when you see yeah, rarely do I spend this much time, if ever, talking about high school on a podcast. This is cool. And I was just with one of my best friends from high school yesterday morning. I drove down to Pinehurst, North Carolina, really cool town, by the way. And we had coffee, and we were in the same clique in high school, so we talked a lot of high school. But when you see high school movies, and there's the one guy,
yeah,
who's got the rad car and the girls, and that was me. That was me, for better or and for worse.
Yeah.
That was me. Yeah, little did everybody know that while I was also playing that cool guy, I was trash talking myself the whole way through.
That was going to be my second question, because I think for myself, watching movies, watching TV shows, the kids in high schools, the athletes, the guys with the women, like I would even have a hard time going up to some of those guys, just because they were from the movies to me. When you say the trash talking, what did that look like in your head?
I thought I was a loser. And I put on a really good game face. I am naturally wild. And that would just that part was real.
Okay.
That part was very, very real. So I had a persona, and I was also a bully. I loved bullying people. I loved people to be I loved it for people to be scared of me. Part of me just fed off of it, which feeds into that mean streak, which also feeds into, there's some real parts of that. There's some fake parts of that. Fake part of that being me being insecure. Yeah. So, I was a mixed bag.
So as far as insecurity goes, most people that are either watching those movies or watching you have the women, you have the cars, you have the fame, I guess, at the school. What is there to be insecure about?
I had a that's a good question. And my best answer to that is I was believing just a story about myself that somehow I wasn't good enough. Which those aren't facts. It's no one's going to find I'm not good enough on the periodic table of elements. Yet people believe that shit like it's law.
Yeah.
Like it is the 11th commandment. And that gets into the work I'm involved in now. We can talk about high school and college, because I've done that. I've created that same persona in a number of different environments, a number of different scenes. We can keep talking about that. We can get into language, and that's, that's par for the course, as in people believing the voice in their head as true about themselves. When in reality, most of the things that people believe about themselves, especially the negative stuff, they're just opinions.
Mhm.
They're unchecked thoughts. They're not even rough drafts. You've got to write something down to have a rough draft. Most people just go with the first thing that shows up in their head because it's their own voice in their own head. I mean, what's
Mhm.
more seductive than our own voice whispering things to us?
Yeah. So going along those lines, was there anybody in high school that was either on the positive or negative side that you kind of looked at, or was it mostly just the self-talk that you were talking about?
People I was looking at on the positive side, what
So as far as were your parents, so example, my uncle and or family, I was not necessarily a slim fella. I was always athletic. But my uncle at one point, I had a hairline similar to this in high school. He's like, "Oh, you look like Brad Pitt," and I maybe lost like 5 pounds over like a couple of months. And I was like, "Oh wow!" Like he's giving me these compliments. Like my confidence was boosted. Was there anybody that you believed on that end, or on the negative end, or was it mostly yourself that was giving you both sides of it?
um my father was very supportive.
Hmm.
He said a couple of things. Yeah, he's got his stuff too, just like we all do.
Yeah.
But he said things with me. He goes, you look really good in your clothes. I think I was 13. I was 13. I remember exactly where we were on the corner of Sims and Corden at one of his stores. He owned convenience stores, and I just looked up at him and I thought, cool. And then he said something else. He said, beautiful women have to date somebody. It might as well be you. And I thought, well, he's right. Okay. Went on about. I had a lot. I had. Our man or my man, our man. I'll talk for myself and my business partner. We're very big Jordan Peterson fans.
Okay.
And he said, people need such little encouragement that it's incredible. Somebody can hear a litany of shit talk their whole life, and just a couple of people at the right time say the right things to them, and they'll hang on, they'll cling on to those words, and and it'll make all the difference in them succeeding or not.
Hmm. I like that. And then, so last thing in the high school era, what did your nutrition look like as a kid? What was your relationship with food?
Whatever I wanted.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there was zero thought given
Yeah.
to the quality of what I ingested. Um, and I got away with it. I got away with it. Whether it was by genes or metabolism, lifestyle, I was always pretty lean.
Mm.
But yeah, 3, 4 sodas a day,
Okay.
fast food, a lot of pizza, you know,
Mhm.
Doritos, cereal for breakfast. The whole thing was fucked.
So at that point, was there anybody in your life talking about nutrition, or everything just kind of was? Um,
No one was talking about nutrition.
mhm.
No one was talking about. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
I thought I was even cooler when I got a pager my junior year of high school. I had a pager.
Who's paging you?
All the girls and my friends, and people that wanted to know where the things were, and yeah, so I'd have a pager. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 29.
You're 29. All right, I'm
Just missed
almost
it.
just missed it.
Yeah.
I'm 44. So yeah, no internet. We had libraries. We had microfiche. So you'd go and you'd look up the article from 1971 that you wanted to look up from a newspaper, and you go and get the thing and you'd stick it under the thing,
Oh,
and that's,
okay.
oh dude, oh yeah. And so yeah, somebody would page me, and I'd have to stop at a 7-Eleven and put a quarter quarter in a payphone.
Good luck finding a payphone, let alone a quarter these days.
Dude, I got excited. I saw payphones, a set of 3 in a row, in an airport in Utah 2 years ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, payphones!" Yeah, good luck finding one of those. Good, yeah, dude. People wouldn't touch those things right now. I don't know when you're going to air this, folks, but it's we're in the middle of a COVID pandemic. Dude, people wouldn't touch a payphone. They'd look at that like, you might as well lick a toilet seat.
For sure. So from high school, we're doing the wrestling thing. What was your life projection at that point? What were you looking for, and what was pushing you in that direction?
Very little vision. Very little vision. Nothing. I had yet to encounter a passion. And I definitely had distractions. Mm-hmm. My 2 main distractions, I was a big time party boy in high school. Alcohol and women. Wrestling was, like I said, it was okay. It was okay enough to keep me semi-engaged. But I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I can tell you about when I met my first passion.
All right.
1996. Where were you in 1996?
5 years out of the womb.
5 years out of the womb. In 1996, it was my first semester as a freshman. We had to take a PE class. We go in, and the guy, the PE teacher, he's teaching. At the end of the first day, he goes, "He in the room?" I raise my hand. He goes, "We're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Tuesdays and Thursdays. You should come check it out. It's good to have a wrestling base. It's a good start." Cool. So I come in, and they're teaching some drills and things, and I get on the mat, and then it's time to roll, which is live grappling. And with a extremely basic choke, I had no defense for anything. This dude took his fist, stuck it into my throat, and pulled down on the back of my head. And I start flailing around. My vision goes, and he sees what's happening. He lets go, and I lean back and I go, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I've been looking for." Pinning someone was not really that cool.
Didn't do it for you?
Nope. Choking someone, on the other hand, that was a completely different experience, because I did get in a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And that gave me a big time advantage and reason to focus and train hard. That was my first passion. That was my first passion.
So then, and that's in college? That
was in college.
Okay.
1996, Radford University, Virginia, up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And that it's been a passion of mine since.
So where does that class kind of take you? Does that push your schooling in a certain direction, or where does that kind of passion take you through the years of college?
It helped me way big time, because nobody was training back then. Very few people were training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Thai boxing and MMA. And it further helped me. It didn't even have a name yet. It didn't have it wasn't mixed martial arts. It was called NHB, no holds barred, or cage fighting, or valet tudo.
Okay.
which is the is Portuguese for no rules. And people thought you were an absolutely crazy person for doing it. John McCain, he called it human cockfighting, tried to get it banned. He did. In most states, I think
Yeah.
it was only legal in a few states for a while. Look who's laughing now, John. And it big time helped me. It did. It gave me a huge boost in confidence.
Hmm.
And it also, I flaunted that shit. It also helped me further boost and inflame that cool guy prick character.
So you go from wrestling, jujitsu. Most of that is grappling, not too much. I would say contact in the like, oh, I'm going to be bleeding or whatnot after this. Where did that kind of fit in? How did you find that part of your combat sports?
Yeah, the guy that was training us, he did stand up as well, and a lot of the people that I trained with went on to compete, and myself included,
Hmm.
uh, in mixed martial arts fights. And it gave me a reason. It gave me some very needed structure and stability and something to do. And it was very healthy for me in a lot of ways. It was also unhealthy for me in some ways. Um,
Where would you say the unhealthiness came in? Because you had the structure, you had something that you're passionate about. What was unhealthy about that pursuit?
oh, I was even more of an asshole. Yeah, and now I really knew how to beat somebody's ass.
So who would fight you, or were they just drunk?
Oh my god, dude! You ever seen the movie Animal House?
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine, 15 and 15 different houses on campus like this, like that, with packed full of dudes. That it was Rad then known as a very wild party school that if you had tuition and 3 brain cells, you're in. So it was quite lawless.
So at what point did people stop fighting you, or did that just not happen?
Uh yeah, we always found them. Nobody knew everybody. Yeah. So that was I majored in keg parties and fist fights and women. Like I barely got any. I mean, yeah, I got a degree, but it was a very hazy one.
So as far as the fights go, because I think nowadays people are extremely worried about either getting sued or just something terrible happen. How would you finish a fight, or what was kind of your go-to before things would get stopped?
As much damage as possible. Um, Somebody's probably gonna be bleeding. I got my ass kicked a couple times, for
Yeah.
sure. Oh yeah, I got knocked out in front of everybody. Well, because I deserved it. I went up and picked a fight with 3 guys, and that's never gonna go well. Especially, I mean, yeah, I was hammered too. Thanks, Jägermeister. And uh, people should be very scared
Hmm.
of getting in fights these days. We did not have cell phones. No one had cell phones. Everybody and their 5-year-old child has a cell phone these days. And as soon as anything happens, the cell phone comes out. It gets video recorded from 18 different directions, and hello, litigation.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and guess what? There's this thing called social media, so it's on there forever. You
For
you
sure.
put you put me in college now, I'd be a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be a different person.
Mm.
Um,
Do you feel like fights back then that grudges were held, or it kind of just was something that happened?
Both.
Mm.
Yeah, that 3-person fight where I got KO'd. Uh, that was from something that happened, another fight that happened a month earlier.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, of course, people hold grudges.
Yeah.
Somebody gets their ass kicked, they're remembering it,
Hmm.
and people
But
love getting even.
for sure. But at no point, no one's bringing a knife. No one's doing anything dirty.
No.
Like, why was that? Was it kind of an unwritten rule, or because I feel like nowadays people are worried that, oh, someone has a gun, someone has a knife. Why was that kind of the able to happen, I guess, at that time, you think?
Well, that's a good question. Um, it was the culture
Okay.
at the school. It was nobody carried anything.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also because you get your ass kicked, you just deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, you open your mouth, you say some stupid shit, and you get what you get. And I got what I deserved a couple of times. I
Hmm.
was not mad at anybody about that. And there was different times, man. I mean, different times.
For sure.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah, as far as college goes, what did you get a degree in, and did that kind of push you towards your next career spot, or was it more in martial arts?
business administration.
All right.
Yeah, business administration. If I had that to do over again, I would have done some outdoor rec. That would have been
Mhm.
fun. A couple of my roommates, they got outdoor rec degrees. And one of them now is a business owner. He's a contractor, in home renovations. The other guy's well, they're both in home renovations. Another guy's a high level carpenter,
Mhm.
which I think is really cool, by the way. Carpentry's rad. Uh, Very cool skill. Um, yeah, man, fate.
Okay.
I do believe in a pinch of destiny and the hand of fate from time to time. So I opened 2 emails from career services. One the first week of school, one the last week of school. And that last one, that was it was strange because there was a list of them. It was a whole. My emails was. It was 19. It was 2000, dude. Emails in 2000. Um, and I just decided to click on this one, or I was
Mhm.
compelled to, and it said teach in Thailand.
Had you traveled much as a adult
I didn't
and
even
a
have a
child?
passport, bro. Yeah, we come from the work hard, get your 2 weeks of vacation in the summer
Mhm.
type family. And so I looked at the screen, it said teach in Thailand. And I looked up and I looked back down. I read the title again. I'm gone. I'm going. So I replied and I went and met this woman. And I told my girlfriend at a party shortly thereafter, I said, I'm moving to Thailand. It's a true story. And because
How'd that go?
real well. I
Wow.
said, yeah. I said, I'm moving to Thailand and I will wait for you to graduate. She was a year
Mhm.
behind me, year and a half behind me. And I said, I'll wait for you. She goes, okay. So I graduate and I move back to Richmond and train and compete. And that was cool.
Mhm.
And she graduated and we moved to Thailand.
Wow. So what did that year of training and competing look like, since it wasn't necessarily on a national big stage? What did that look like for that year?
I was waiting tables and I was training 5, 6 times a week and competing in any event that I could find, which were very few and far between back then.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, like as in 2000, 2001. Um, yeah, I ended up having 6 amateur MMA fights, won a couple of kickboxing state titles.
So where did kickboxing come in? Was that just in college?
Yeah, as soon as I started training jujitsu, I got in. We were doing
Got it.
stand-up. We were doing stand-up. We were doing jujitsu,
Okay.
doing MMA training, and
Yeah.
I
I'll
had my
have to
first.
admit, when you did say stand up, for some reason I thought stand up comedy. I was like, that's probably probably
No,
not what he's talking about.
no, I'm funnier now than I used to be. People think I'm serious. There's just gotta between the lines. Yeah. No, stand up as in Muay Thai kickboxing.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I moved over to Thailand. February 2002, we went over there.
So
And
what were you teaching?
elementary school PE.
Nice.
It was great, dude. I had a great gig. Um, and the plan was go over there for a year, polish up my Thai boxing skills, and come on back, go pro. That didn't happen.
No. So did you find a place to do Thai boxing there, or
Oh my
well,
God, dude. Bangkok, there are schools everywhere.
yeah.
It's good. You can't, good luck getting around it. It's always on television.
Mhm.
It's much more normal now for people or foreigners or Falang to go and train train Thai boxing in Thailand. It was a little bit rare back then,
Mhm.
um, compared to how it is now. But yeah, man, I went over there and um, had my second knee surgery 6 months in.
Well, that's not ideal. How did that work?
Well,
How
that's
did
not
that
ideal.
happen?
Yo, dude. Overtraining with an injury that got worse and worse, and now it's really torn. Here's your second knee surgery.
Did you get your knee surgery in Thailand?
Yeah.
Was that scary?
No,
That's good.
I wasn't. I wasn't scared. I was nuclear level pissed off.
Okay.
Somewhere between bitter and seething. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't fight after that.
Okay, so that was it.
That was it. And to say that I took that poorly was an understatement.
Mhm.
I didn't laugh for an entire year. And I decided that there's no fucking way that I'm going back to Virginia and not be the fighter.
Mhm.
So I'm going to stay over here and something's going to happen. I'm not, there's no way I'm just not. I'd rather be a no one in a strange land than have to go back and be quote unquote normal.
Mhm.
Because I was addicted to the identity of being a fighter.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it, and I loved the attention, and yeah, I lived in Thailand for a decade, man.
That's quite a long time from
Yeah.
the year plans. So
Oh yeah.
what did that year of not necessarily rehab, but the first year of not fighting, you're teaching at school, and then what are you kind of doing since you're not hitting the gym or kickboxing or anything of that nature?
Just being miserable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't laugh for an entire year. I couldn't
How
get my face into position to enjoy anything about my life, much less chuckle at something.
and did the girlfriend stay around?
God bless her, that girl. Yeah, she did.
Wow.
Even when we broke up, and she stayed around for an extra year waiting to see if the fog would lift. And finally she was like, I gotta go. And I
Yeah.
said, I know. I understand. I mean, a
So
diamond of a female.
yeah.
Best looking girl in school, best just a diamond inside and out. One of my favorite people ever on the planet. and I just sucked.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when you stop, we used to have a really good time. Uh, Adventure, laughs. When you stop laughing with someone, and laughter is one of the foundations of your relationship, that thing is now officially on the rocks.
So at what point into the 10 years did you hit that proverbial bottom, or at what point did things start looking up again?
When I realized that I could be uh that I could do this woe is me story for who knows how long. And I looked at what that would look like, 55, 60-year-old person. And I just said, I said, I'll take anything but that.
Mhm. Now,
I will,
was that a day? Was that I literally just one day this happened, or did it kind of build on itself?
I don't remember. All I remember is getting there.
Hmm.
Hey, jerky, you can stay pissed off about this for decades. Are you going to be a 60-year-old man whining about this shit when you're 60, 65? And I said, that's what a waste. What a waste of a life. What a waste of opportunity.
Hmm.
Uh, and uh, and right around that same time, our vice principal, he came back from Koh Samui, which is an island. I was living in Bangkok, which is an island in the Gulf of Thailand. And he came back from a cleansing resort, a detox spa, where you go and you pay to not eat, and they have these different detox programs, protocols, and he just gone and done a 3-day liver cleanse. He came back floating, saying, "Man, this place is really cool. They're doing some interesting stuff down there." He knew I was in getting acupuncture and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, they're all about the alternative stuff."
Hmm.
And I didn't know much about alternative anything.
Yeah.
What I did know is that I need some magic. I actually said that. I didn't even know what that meant. And so I went down there and did a 7-day cleanse, paid to not eat for 7 days, took the detox pills and these bulking shakes, and you're losing weight and you're pooping out this weird stuff, and like you're going through a cleanse.
Yeah.
And you got 50 best friends that are doing it too. So everybody's sitting around talking about their poops, and just it's a oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then what alternative weird treatment they had just gotten done with and where they're from. Everybody was flying in from different places, the UK, Australia, everyone's an expat.
Hmm.
So a lot of very interesting people
Yeah.
down there for a variety of reasons, all looking to improve something, help with something, fix something in their life. And I came back, felt a little bit better, and I thought to myself, you know what, I can. This is a way for me to participate in my life differently.
Hmm.
I could not articulate it that simply and clearly back then, and that is roughly what I was thinking. And I also knew I had to keep going, as in keep going back. Just like I knew I had to open that email, just like I knew I had to go to the jiu-jitsu practice, that one jiu-jitsu practice, and just like I knew I had to go wrestle. It was a chain of events.
Hmm.
Back to the hand of fate. And the third time I went down, this was in the summer of 2003. I went to an emotional detox workshop one evening.
So how do they advertise that?
Little flyers on the tables.
Well, what's the description of the detox, I guess?
Want to learn how your emotions rule your life? You got a problem? Need some help? Tired of feeling like a fucking asshole all the time? Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. They did not the last part. That's basic. That was me.
That's how you read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm a real smart guy too. I laughed at it when the person told me. They're like, "Hey, there's an emotional detox workshop going on tonight. You should come." I was like, "Emotional detox," and they go, "You need to go." I was like, "Huh?" I went and I watched a man that would end up becoming my mentor, my first mentor in this work at the time. His name was Barry Musgrave, 70-year-old British man. He talked about words. He talked about stories. He talked about the victim mentality. And then he asked if anyone had a problem. And this woman raised her hand and she had a bad breakup story. It was legit bad breakup. It happened 4 years ago. And she's still pissed.
Wow.
Yep. So much so that she hadn't gotten in a relationship. She wouldn't dare get in another relationship out of fear of getting dumped so brutally in the way she did in the first one, or her most previous one.
Yeah.
And he walked her through it. First time, at the end, angry and tears. He walked her through it the second time and started tweaking the words.
So when you say walk through, what does walk through mean?
Tell us the story.
Okay.
Tell us what happened. Second time through her story, is making some adjustments to the words, making it clearer in one sense. And now she's sad, no tears. Everybody's paying even closer attention now. Third time through, he makes an adjustment in how she's telling the story of the breakup. And the whole thing went from it being about her to about him, personal to impersonal. And she goes, huh, well, that wasn't going to work anyway. The guy was actually really weird. And I thought to myself, that's not my story, but that's my story. And I got up immediately and went to an internet cafe when there was such things. And I printed off an 80-page manual on how to do this work on yourself. And buddy, I went to work.
What did you Google?
It's called emotional freedom technique.
Okay.
It's tapping. So tapping and telling the story in certain ways. So certain kinds of language, relanguaging the story as you're tapping, it's a pattern interrupt.
Okay.
You're interrupting the mechanics, the mechanism of how you tell the story and the words that you use to tell the story, also known as getting a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because our stories are formulaic. 2 + 2 = 4. She ruined my life. You're only getting one outcome with that story. He made me think we needed to get married. You're only getting one outcome with that story, which is you're the victim. 2 + 2 = 4. For you, for me. When I say, you need to respect me more, I'm going to create a victim villain mental imagery. I'm in the picture. They're in the picture. They're disrespecting me. They have to change their behavior so before I can feel better. So I can feel better. Hurry up and do it now. Doesn't work. Well, it in one sense, there is an outcome, a very reliable outcome. That's called a stress response. See, there's this thing called the victim mentality. And it is the scourge of planet Earth. It's the thief in the night. It's the thing that steals your time, your attention, your mental real estate, your creativity. And there are language patterns to it. I'm going to take a little bit out of the middle. The verbatim definition of the victim mentality: it is an acquired personality trait where a person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. The victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributes. Look it up. That's the verbatim definition of the victim mentality. That second sentence is exceedingly telling. The victim mentality depends, as in it has to have a habitual thought process. Habitual accurately implies duration and addiction. And that thought process, there's a subset of the English language. You just finished one of our courses. There's a subset of the English language that people use accidentally and unconsciously to cause themselves all kinds of fucking problems. It's called conflict language. And it accounts for, we'll ballpark it, roughly 85% of the words that people use to create problems for themselves, whether it's worry, anxiety, insecurity, blame, guilt, shame, indecision. We don't get taught this stuff in school. I've got a master's degree in education. I got brought up in the public school. Well, I didn't have one course, class, or conversation on either side of that coin about how my words, my language — when I say language, I mean internal dialogue and external dialogue — what I think and what I say and what I write influences how I see myself in my imagination, or how my language influences my emotional status, or how my language influences my breathing mechanics.
So when we're going through the 80-page manual, at what point do you start bringing these things into your life, and what first did you identify? Was it the victim? Was it what started to change for you?
I didn't know that I'd begun the process of, to whatever degree that I have, which is to a decent one, much better on skin now. I breathe so much better now. I can stay focused on things that are important to me now. I'm really good at checking my blame. Much better at taking responsibility for my actions. I did not know at the time that what I was in the very early stages of deconstructing was an extremely entrenched victim mentality. I just knew I was hating life. And I had to do something about it, because guess what? No one's going to change your story for you. That's an absolute inside job. That's the best of news. That's the worst of news. Sweet. I'm responsible for the story that I tell myself. Fuck. I'm responsible for the story that I tell myself. And when you know the words, when you learn about what words are going to take you down a dark, constrictive, extremely unproductive, inflamed path to Fucksville, and then you also learn about the words that help you build up your confidence and your ability to, as I previously had said, stay focused on the things that are important to you and create momentum in your life and get things done, and talk yourself into opportunity. Most people use their language to accidentally talk themselves out of opportunity. Most people's language works against them. When you learn to use your words, and so your words, your stories, your identity are working for you, that's a big deal, folks. And that is a big understatement, that is a big deal. We're talking about, unless someone has gotten, it's very hard to practice developing your mindset without the understanding of the words. As in, the rubber meets the road. Here's the basic thought model. Our words create stories. Our stories create identities. Our identities drive our actions, and our actions, they determine our outcomes, or our destinations, also known as destinies. Most conversations about mindset, it's just way too global. You know, try to be more positive, or have a good attitude, or go hard or go home, or sleep when you're dead. That shit breaks down under pressure.
Yeah. It sounds nice when it works.
And rarely does it work.
Mm.
It's something to say because most people have nothing else to say about it.
Right.
When you know what words to focus on, what words to use less of, what words to use more of, that changes the conversation about mindset profoundly, permanently.
So of this 80-page manual, were you doing worksheets? Were you reading this, then going out into the world, or talking into a mirror? What was some of the first things that you, other than watching it at the emotional retreat, what did you see happening in your life as far as progress went?
My outlook began taking a slow and steady uptick. Things started to improve. I started to feel a little bit better. The thing that it gave me most was hope.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that I could do something about this situation that I created for myself, and some hope that I wasn't doomed to fail, and that I wasn't a born loser. Hope that there was something that I could do about my deeply held belief that I was not good enough, also known as a telephobia. That's the thing. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that essentially it all boils down to: the fear of not being good enough.
So when you find your mentor, how did that? How was he in Thailand for X amount of years? What did that relationship look like?
So I lived in Bangkok for 5 years, and I had 4 months paid vacation every year. It's a great gig. And so I
Wow.
used, it was shit. We were it was an American school of Bangkok, 4 months paid vacation.
That's
We were
not
on an
bad
American
gig.
calendar. It's a great gig, dude.
Is that how you also got your master's while you were teaching there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the kids were so rad, man. That was my first favorite job. And, or my first fantastic job. And so I would take that time and those extra resources and I kept going back down to that place. It's called the Spa.
Yeah.
And in January 17th, 2007, I moved down there as a practitioner.
Okay.
As a counselor. That's when I went pro in the story work, the language game. And I've been somewhere between full-time and overtime the whole time since.
Wow. So how many counselors or practitioners were you usually with at a time?
On average, 10 to 13. And there was everybody did something different.
Okay.
I was the EFT guy. There's a variety of strange, magical, mystical things to do.
What does EFT stand for?
Emotional freedom technique.
Okay. What were some of the other ones?
You had family constellations, which looks into inherited trauma. You want to look something up very interesting, folks? Look up epigenetics. Epi is Greek. It means above or before, and genetics is genetics. Because guess what? We inherit more from our parents than our eye color. There's a physical inheritance. There's a metaphysical inheritance. Spooky. tarot cards, Reiki, stuff called releasing. There was acupuncture. There was cupping. Some other weird stuff. I don't know if people would even heard of it. Radionics work. It was everything and anything alternative.
Mm-hmm.
A spiritual laboratory, as we used to like to call it.
Mm-hmm. So we're going through this process, and at what point did you find how were you able to tell yourself that it was okay to come back to the States, or was that still the story you were saying that you could come back, or what was the conversation at that point?
I keep things talking about comedy, comically simple in my head. And the only thing I knew at the time is that I need to get a ton of experience with this work. So I just did. That was my main focus. Doing as many sessions as possible, doing as many workshops as possible, studying as much as possible. Because guess what? Now we're into my second passion. I've been gifted with two. There could be more. I'm not sure yet. And I've had two: mixed martial arts and story work, the language game.
So at that point with language, is that or once again, so 2017, is that when you said that you came back to the States, or when did you feel that it was time to come back?
Gotcha. So I did 5 years in Bangkok, and added up, I did another 5 years on Koh Samui. When did I come back? I lived in Ecuador for 1.5 years too.
Okay.
Yeah. So dude, my name hasn't been on a lease anywhere on planet Earth since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived out of suitcases for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've had houses,
Yeah.
places I lived, but that was all on handshakes month to month.
Mm-hmm. So what were you doing in Ecuador?
Writing.
Really?
Yeah, I fantasized about renting a house somewhere exotic and writing a book. And my best friend from Koh Samui, Fat Josh, or Big Sexy, this 300, the most dangerous fat guy in the world, 6'2", 330 pounds, huge gut, 5 different black belts.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a Shotokan national champion heavyweight for a number of years. The dude's huge and super nimble. He can kick cans off your head frontwards, backwards. It's like big people aren't supposed to move like that.
Yeah.
And he and I were buddies, dude. And he moved down there in 2012 because he thought the world was going to end. And this is a true story. He researched the best place to live if massive natural disasters started happening.
There you go.
Yeah, right. What else are you gonna look at? The news? And so he moved down there, and he's like, man, there's a house right next to me up on the hill. It's just us. This place is super fun. You should come. It's like, okay. So I do. I go down there and rent the house, and he was right. Houses were great. Community was great. It's called Vilcabamba. It was in the middle of the southern tip of the Andes Mountains, 45 miles north from the Peruvian border.
Mm-hmm.
And it was another little hippie, spiritual community enclave. People doing all kinds of interesting alternative things, growing their own food, people running from the government, all kinds of crazy shit. And I wrote a manual known as the 36-day language overhaul program. This is in 2011, 2012. And that program, I'd known him for a number of years, but I shook hands with my business partner, my current business partner, Adam Chin, in 2014. I showed him what I had written. I was selling this language overhaul program and accompanying ebook on my previous website. And he took a look at that and he's like, this is legitimate tech, as in coaching tech, as in personal development tech. Let's turn it into a business. I said, sure. So we took that, and that was the blueprint for our online training course for vocabulary called Core Language Upgrade. Excuse me. And that we filmed that in early 2015, and people have been studying it, been selling it since. And that was also the that was the course that spawned the Way of the Enlifted Athlete, which is you took the Way of the Enlifted Athlete?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So yeah.
So back to the core, back to the basics. What is your flyer? What is your thing that you're putting on the telephone poles to get people to take a look at that course?
Well, I mean, the only two things that people sell in personal development are solutions to problems and then better outcomes. Yeah. Also known as transformation. So language upgrade resolve their internal hang-ups and issues and problems with self-confidence and insecurity and indecision, self-doubt, and become more resilient, confident, decisive, effective people, which is what most people want to become. It is a very unfun place to. Chronic insecurity sucks. I mean, is that a news flash to anyone? No. And yet people struggle with it. Most people struggle with that for the majority of their life. Why is an interesting question. How is a superior question.
Do you think that most people know that that's what their issue is, that that's what's holding them back, or do you feel that kind of the environment or the news or just everything that we're kind of brought up in is that's just what is?
Pen to paper with a couple of prompting questions.
Right.
People will acknowledge that, the way I feel about myself and the way I see myself is an issue.
So for the people that say, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or all those words, because I've friends that are burning the candle at both sides, so on and so forth, and some of them quite successful, what would be the benefit for them with still using that conflict language, but they're still fairly successful?
Sure. What if you could quadruple your productivity and cut your what if you could quadruple your productivity and enjoy your life more? What if you could quadruple your productivity and improve your breathing mechanics by 1,000%?
Mm-hmm.
What if you could, would you like to have more flow in your life? Would you like to have less shit talk going on in your head? Most people fuel their productivity with shit talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The most of the fitness industry is fueled with internal shit talk, silent internal shit talk, comparison hell, which when it's distilled, all that's coming down to a fear of not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, okay, cool. If it's working for you, quote unquote, working for you, great. Would you want your daughter or your son to think those ways about
Mm-hmm.
themselves? Come on, you pussy. What are you gonna do? You gonna quit, huh? Huh, you little bitch? You want your daughter thinking that to herself? What does that do? It creates tension and constriction. It activates negative trash talk, activates and maintains sympathetic nervous system response or stress response. And when that happens, people trap their breath in their upper chest, known as shallow breathing, labored breathing, or coastal breathing. We are not mechanically engineered to do well over prolonged periods of time under an activated and maintained stress response. We are designed mechanically, physiologically, to, when we need to, upregulate, get the job done, and then get back out of it as soon as possible and get into parasympathetic nervous system response, known as rest and digest or feed and breed. The best athletes that I know are the ones that can upregulate and downregulate at will. I lived in an upregulated stressed state and broke myself because I did. And our man David Goggins, he's come to the same conclusion. You know, that guy's the king of pushing oneself, and he took it so far that he broke.
Yeah.
You know what he does at night? 2 hours of stretching, because he needed to down-regulate himself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about. Do you think that Goggins stretching out in these long static hold stretches and going, "Come on, you little bitch, come on, you're gonna let these people outwork you, huh? No. You need to be able to cultivate. It's good to have that gear. Okay, sure. It's good to be able to bite down on your mouthpiece and move forward. It's also good to develop gears to down-regulate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
People say, you know, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, you won't. You're going to sleep when you're tired. And guess what? The Whoop band has the Aura Ring has given everyone all the proof they'll ever need about training and HRV. You know, so yeah, you know. Oh, I know. I know what works for me. I know what's got longevity written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as me having a long, successful career in this game, what we're doing now,
Mm-hmm.
and well, like I said, man, I'm comfortable in my own skin now. I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. It's impossible for you, me, anyone to be comfortable in your skin when your breath is trapped in your upper chest.
Mm-hmm.
And most people's breath is, because most people's language is jacked up because we did not learn about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we get addicted to those states. People are so revved up that you know, they got to go in and work out like a crazy person just to take the edge off, just to keep the lid on. You want an interesting thought exercise? Think about taking a week off. Think about taking a week off when you're healthy. That will usually send people into like wide-eyed fits of, I'd go crazy. Oh, really? You actually might, because things would bubble up to the surface. And those things being stories and feelings of an uncomfortable nature that I'd rather go into the gym and distract myself than deal with, because most people don't have the know-how or the know-to. We can also talk about flow states.
Well, so as far as the discussion between where you were and where you are now, most people, when they read self-help books, I think most people that read self-help books read many of them, and they think either right after they're going to be, oh, everything has been fixed, everything has changed. For you, what does the process look like as far as failure and success, and how long is it taking you to get to where you are, or where you are like, hey, I'm actually really doing this, instead of feeling that this is just kind of an idea that I have?
18 months ago, we started certifying coaches. So we went from a personal development company business model, me doing one-on-one coaching and presentations, talks, selling our course online. And it happened on its own, in one sense. We've stayed consistent about developing our curriculum and our programs. And yeah, when we launched Enlifted, we did it at we got a booth at Paleo Effects 2019, and we launched Enlifted, and we sold a 12-week instructor-led group training. Myself and Mike Bledsoe ran it, and unbeknownst to us, that was the beginning of us certifying coaches on how coaching and story work, coaching using our language, technology, technical knowledge about how to, and what happens when someone changes their language, using this coaching system to solve people being our coaches, their own first and foremost, because this work is very much like an oxygen mask in a plane. Make sure that your mask is firmly secured before you help someone else with theirs. So the process of them, and it's a practice. This information is practical. It's a practice. You can practice changing the words that you use, which will have that knock-on effect of your changing the stories and into your identities and then the outcomes, and using that for their clients to solve their problems from the inside out on a language and story level. Once we change to that, and this is, dude, I'm the happiest guy on the planet when it comes to work, because I'm a teacher by heart, by trade, by training. And now I get to teach this stuff. That's when this thing became super real. And I'm a very simple person. And I recognized early on that there was something here with the language work. And I just sunk my teeth in and just negation acknowledged, did not let go.
Yeah.
And to date, we've certified 111 coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, level 1 coaches. We've certified 50 level 2 coaches. We've got another 20 in our first level 3. And our community is on fire. And we've got some very other interesting things happening. So everything is improved. Everything is 10x for us in the past 20x. Everything's 20x for us in the past 18 months. So yeah, 14 years in the game, and we're an overnight success. Folks, you got to, stuff takes time. It takes time and repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skill. It takes time and repetition and a lot of losses, quote unquote failures. So I'm going to walk upstairs and get my my plug for my battery, for you to distill down what you're doing to its essence. That's why it's so important for you to be able to use your language to keep you in the game, to talk yourself into opportunities, to frame quote unquote failures for what they are, which are necessary processes or necessary parts of the formula to success. I mean, show me someone who's easily discouraged. I'll show you someone who's screwed.
Mm-hmm. So when you, so I guess I think this would be more on the vocabulary. Where did you start, I guess, simplifying or breaking down the words themselves into a course, and when did you start seeing them work outside of what you were kind of distilling on paper?
Well, I stopped counting in 2017. I've done over 5,000 one-on-one coaching sessions.
Wow.
Oh, dude. Yeah. One of the things I bring to the table is an incredible amount of experience. Yeah, I've over 5,000 one-on-one coaching sessions. And again, I stopped counting. 2000, given over 500 in-person professional presentations. One documentary under my belt, soon to have 2. We've done
Cool.
2 online training courses.
What was the documentary?
The Cosmic Giggle. Yeah, look that up. Certified, like I said, we've got some interesting numbers. We've been to TEDx talk. So the first 3 years, 2007 to 2010, and like I said, I'm a simple guy. I'm a simple man of mediocre, and some smarter, you would have connected these dots faster. Sitting in a room, 2 chairs with a person telling you their problems. And how do I know, how did I know that I was passionate about these 2 things? When I describe my passions, there's fighting and story work. From the moment I laid eyes on them, I've been fixated since. It's an attraction that I cannot describe in words, and that I am forever grateful for, because they both profoundly impacted, changed, and improved my life. So when I sit down in front of someone, I just nothing else exists. And I pay almost Rain Man-like attention to the words that are coming out of their mouth. And in a matter of 3 years, I clocked that 85% of people's problems were being driven by 3 language patterns, the 3 pillars, the 3 pillars of conflict language, which are negations, projections, and soft talk. Once we had that, that was the foundation. That was the platform. That was our first piece of proprietary and unique language technology. One of the things that we've done well is make this very simple. Simple to use, simple to understand, and practical, as in it can be practiced, because it is practiced.
Right.
What do you mean, Mark? It's practice. Yeah. Self-sabotage is a practice. And there are language patterns to that, as in, you don't have problems. I don't have problems. I practice problems. Little bit of a different approach and outcome.
So in nowadays life, we moved up from Ecuador. We've started teaching and coaching. What does your daily movement practice and speech practice look like?
Right on. My movement practice, the foundation of it is walking. We are incredibly understepped as a culture, and walking. So another thing I paid attention to when I met this is a girl I moved to Thailand with. When I met, this is in college, her father's kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
She was 80 years old, 5 foot nothing, 105 pounds with a handshake stronger than mine. Sharp as tacks. I said, oh, this is interesting. What do you do? I walk 5 miles a day. Noted. And so I made a practice whenever I found someone over the age of 70 who was super sharp and mobile and dexterous, both physically and psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
I asked them, what do you do? They all walk. They're all walkers. You want to add longevity to whatever physical practices you have, start walking more.
Mm-hmm.
And watch what happens. You could be the most hard styled, hard edged, hard charging CrossFit competitor. And if you walk, you'll stay in the game longer. I promise you that.
So do you believe it is the mental portion of while you're walking what's going on, or do you think it's the physical, the blood flowing, or why do you think it's so beneficial?
Both. And it's something that we've been doing historically for the entirety of the existence of the human species, walking. And guess what? Walking isn't walking. Most people's feet are fucked up. Most people's walking patterns are jacked. You want some help with that? Look up Goda, greatest of all time athletes. These coaches out of New Orleans, and they focus a ton on how people's feet work, for better and for worse. And a good buddy of mine, Pal, is known that cat 30 years, also a level 3 Wim Hof instructor. Good luck finding one of those, and a 2nd degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That'll work. He turned me on to this, and I had been already walking. 2004, that's when I decided that walking was going to be the foundation of my movement practices forever. And I do other things. I swing maces, not all that well compared to a lot of the people that I know. I'm friends with Leo Savage. I like kettlebells. Not like Mike Salemi can swing them, but I still like them. So I've got weight training and durability. I've hung out on it a couple of times, taken some of their certs. Great dudes. So I have strength practice, and I will throw a Thai kick from time to time. And regardless of what I'm doing, walking.
Mm-hmm.
Walking. And then as far as my language practice, I practice speaking. So I get asked a lot, Mark, what do we do? Where do we start? 2 things. I have a macro answer and a micro answer. The macro answer is to slow down your rate of speech by about 20%. And watch what happens. Several things are going to happen. Several very interesting things are going to happen. You're going to, when someone slows down their rate of speech, you are going to breathe better. And when you breathe better, not only are you going to be a better listener, chest breathing equals bad listening. Bad listening equals bad conversations. Bad conversations equal bad everything. Not only are you a better listener, you will give yourself extra, very valuable mental real estate to connect the dots between what you think and say and how you feel. And what you think and say and what kind of mental imagery you make. And that extra mental real estate and those dots connected will give you a lot of insight into why your life looks and feels the way it does.
Mhm. So for those struggling, I believe, to get into the either the physical shape that they're looking for, most people generally New Year's Eve, obviously coming up, their goal is a physical attribute to look a certain way, aesthetics. And usually most people that I interview or talk to, their general goal is health or physical prowess or something of that nature. So how does one change their mindset from, oh, I want that 6 or 12 pack to I want that healthy lifestyle? What does that look like as far as story work or vocabulary goes?
Well, these questions are way too easy. Pick up a pen and write down what you want. Pick up a pen and write down what you want, and make your targets, also known as goals, singular and written in full sentences. Those are the targets. There's a difference between a dream and a goal. You know what that difference is? A dream is in your head, a goal is written down. Once pen hits paper and a goal is written down, it becomes 1,000%, 10 times more likely to happen. And that's just when you write down the target. And when you write down the target and the small steps and the medium steps that you need to take to hit that target, now you're talking about turning something from a possibility into a probability. What do I mean by small and medium steps? The steps that you need to take in the next 48 hours, those are the small steps. The steps that you take in the next 2 weeks, those are the medium steps. And that's all you need for the most part. Most people don't write shit down. They don't even have a draft to hand in. Okay. And then of the people that do write their target down, their goal down, which is fantastic, great progress, you just stare at the target. Okay. You should look at the target about 2 to 3% of the time and marry the process, as we say. Focus on the short and medium steps and write down what those steps are. Write them out. Get out your calendar. Put things in your calendar. Write out when you're going to go to the gym for the next 2 weeks. And the likelihood that you're going to the gym on those, it goes up a ton. Stuff isn't rocket science. Use your words. Leverage the power of writing.
So people hopefully after the last hour and a half are getting excited, very interested in what we're talking about here. Where do they find these classes? Where do they find these resources?
Very cool. Got 2 things for you. One, Instagram. I hear it's going to take off one of these days. Mark England. I'm a smart ass dude. I am. Mark England 2020. My IG account is 80% educational material, 20% entertainment. And guess what? It's free. And if someone wants to learn about getting certified to coach with this stuff, and our coaching certifications, they are equal parts personal development, equal parts professional development. Go to enlifted.me, ENLIFTED.me, and watch the 6-minute promotional video on what level 1 Enlifted coaching certification is and all the rad shit you get from doing it.
I like it. And then the last 2 questions that everybody gets. What is your definition of health? Not the dictionary definition, but what do you strive for?
Great breathing. Abdominal breathing. Low and slow breathing. Most people's breathing is high and rapid. Get your breathing low and slow and watch what happens to everything worth giving a shit about. From your sleep to your digestion, to your poops, to your conversations, to your workouts, to your longevity. Dude, Change your breathe. If when you win the breathing game, you win the whole game.
Well, there we go. And then what is something from your life that someone listening to the podcast could take away as a positive for their life?
Improve the story that you tell yourself about yourself and watch what happens. In order to do that, you're going to have to study the mechanics, the mechanism of storytelling, the building blocks of storytelling, the words we use. Learn just a little bit more about your words and how to use them in a constructive, empowering way, and it will have a ripple effect that is somewhere between amazing and magical.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That was great.